What is up, Ghosties? We are Tales of Spooky Coffee House. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Veronica.
Getting ahead of yourself there?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this book.
Okay. So today we're doing a Book Talk Tuesday on The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. So we're not going to lie to you guys. We finished reading this book, like 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah. So
and that's why I had to reread the last chapter today just to get a little, oh yes, that's how it ended.
And then she forgot one of the characters, so I had to remind her of that too.
Bitch, you were Googling it too. She said, hold on, and then she's typing away.
No, I wasn't typing. I was actually reading it, and then I was like, oh yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you sure.
Your
Okay.
hair, by the way.
Huh? Are you there?
There you go. You're back. You're back. You froze for a minute.
What did you say?
Said you froze for a minute.
No, before that.
I have no clue.
Something about my hair.
Oh yeah, I love your hair. You just wanted to hear the compliment again. You were saying something about my hair?
No, actually, I only heard hair. I didn't hear the whole compliment. So I legitimately wanted to know. But thank you.
No, yeah, I'm liking it.
Thank you.
Thanks for noticing my haircut too, Chelsea. You're so sweet. Yeah, I cut the shit out of it. Chopped it off.
I know. You told me already.
Okay, well then, make sure everyone else knows. Because Vettel likes compliments.
Okay, well, Veronica, your hair is so cute. You chopped it all up.
Thank you. Yeah, I did. Oh my god. Thanks for noticing. You're so sweet.
I hope you know I still can't edit video.
Bro, if you don't stop freezing right now.
I still don't know how to edit video. So the Ghosties are going to hear all of our banter that usually gets cut off in the podcast.
It's just making it more interesting, okay? It's fine. It's fine. So The Lost Apothecary, again, like we mentioned last time, if you guys are interested in reading this book, maybe don't watch the rest of this video and listen to
spoiler alert, Miley.
Did
I say it? Did I say it this time? Like, could you get it? Do you understand?
No, loud and clear.
Okay.
Loud and clear. It was perfect.
Okay, perfect.
You said it so clearly, I don't need my glasses.
If
so yeah,
you know.
If you know, you know. But yeah, spoiler alert, major spoiler alert. And if you don't see yourself reading this book, welcome, enjoy our banter on it, because it's an amazing book with I feel multiple storylines that obviously link to one another.
It really connects the past to the present.
For sure. And that very last thing that happened at the end of the book, that I don't even know if I want to say it yet. Should I, or should I wait?
I don't know which part you're talking about, because there's a lot of parts that happen in the last part of the book, so let's just wait.
Okay, I'll wait.
Let's start at the beginning, okay?
Let's start at the beginning with Nella, because that's how the book opens.
Mm-hmm.
In this apothecary shop. You know what? You're lucky I'm on camera. I can't hide my usual frustrations that
I know.
Anyways, first of all, are you drinking any coffee yet, or?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay, yeah, me neither. I'm saving it for when we record our episode. Totally not drinking coffee right now without you.
I totally have water. Oh, role reversed right there. Jesus.
I get thirsty. What can I say? Ah! So the beginning of the book, yes, opens up with Nella at her shop. receiving a request to help murder a certain someone's husband. Little did she expect a 12-year-old to show up for the poisoned eggs, chicken eggs. Little Miss Eliza. Dude, I love her.
I do too. I adore her.
Like, I would not mind having a daughter like her, you know?
Yeah.
So how did you feel? I mean, obviously we've done an episode on Julia Fontana.
Tofana.
Tofana was close.
Just mixed up a little couple letters there.
So you know, how did you feel reading that first chapter, that introduction to Nella and the apothecary?
I loved it. So with Julia Tofana, she, you know, she had her daughter, she had some helpers. This woman, Nella, is working by herself. And I think it adds a lot to the story. Just because when you connect it to Caroline, it's kind of that sense of being alone in the world, and then finding that somebody that really like helps you, puts you together again, that's not a man. That was my favorite part of the book. It had nothing to do with finding love and a man who puts you back together again, because honestly, women need to put women back together again.
And that's exactly what, I mean, we'll talk about it more later on, but that's exactly what happened with Gaynor, who we'll talk about later.
Yep.
She's pretty much the one that pushed or you know what, helped Caroline open her eyes to, you know, her living her life and doing what she wants to do and living her dreams, and not being held back or being allowed to be held back. Because I feel like that's what happened. Not only did her husband hold her back from her dreams and her wants in life, she kind of allowed it to happen, you know, and Gaynor kind of stepped in and said, no. And I absolutely love that, you know, she admitted to applying to Cambridge. And I'm excited for her. I feel like with every book, we're always going to say, I hope there's another book to follow this one up.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
Okay. So let's go back to the beginning. Now, Eliza is one smart 12-year-old. Okay. She picks up the eggs from Nella, and Nella's explaining to her how to tell the poisonous eggs apart from just the regular eggs. And I believe the poisoned ones are the bigger ones.
Right? But not big enough to be noticeable unless you know what you're looking for.
And I think the part that really tripped me out was when Nella was describing to Eliza what to expect once Mr. Amwell eats the poisoned egg and how he's gonna die, because I was picturing it in my head and I was so bothered by it, because it almost like reminded me of like someone being possessed or like some kind of exorcism going on, the way she described, you know, he might be curled up like his spine or whatever, and like I just don't want to think about it. But yeah,
and descriptions like that with the poisons, it really shows how easy it is or was for people to think, you know, witchcraft or demons, because they didn't understand that, where now we know. But back then, I mean, it's so easy to see why people were scared of that, because your body is doing things that with your normal mind you would not attempt to do.
Right. And I believe they blended on his like alcoholism, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of alcohol, the part of the book where I don't remember if Eliza wasn't feeling so good and Mr. Amwell gave her like a glass of whiskey or something and she drank it. Now I have a question that I don't really want to ask. No, because he left the room. Because I was gonna be like, do you think he did anything to her? But he was called out of the room, right?
He was called out of the room.
That was scary, and my heart was like, I can't handle it if something happens to Eliza in this moment.
Yeah, But then it really makes you wonder, like, what happened to the other women, because they did bring up that one girl.
Joanna
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Johanna.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was wild. That's why I think that's why too, like when we got introduced to Joanna, um, and her story, I'm like, no, this cannot repeat itself with Eliza. You know, not this 12-year-old child
Yeah.
that we barely got introduced to, but we've already fallen in love with, you know?
Yeah. Eliza was so easy to fall in love with. And
Mhm.
if anything had happened to her, I would have cried. And we'll get to that part too, because I almost cried.
I did. Okay,
I
I
know you did.
did.
I
But
almost
you
did.
guys, but you guys wait.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll
Just
get to
wait.
it.
Just wait. It's not that bad. Um So then, after the success of killing Mr. Amwell on the low, Eliza starts to believe that she's being haunted and tortured by his ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Little did she know she just started her period. But from experience, I didn't really get educated before I started my period, and I didn't know what was happening. I just thought like, oh, I just need a shower, you know.
Yeah. And as somebody who was slightly educated, like, that shit was still scary the first time. Like, I was like, I
Mhm.
don't understand what's happening.
I
And
had to, for me, I went to the principal one time in elementary school, or I went to the nurse's office and I was sobbing. And the principal, I think it was Mrs. What was the tall blonde one? Bird? That's not her name. Mrs.
so,
Eagle?
so it did start with the B. Bengal?
Anyways,
Yeah, whatever.
she was our principal and she called me in and I was like sobbing to her, like, yeah, everyone's gonna make fun of me. Like, I don't know. Not knowing how normal and that's something we should expect to happen as women, you know? So I understood Eliza's fear.
And it's
I
so
kind of
funny
felt bad
that
for
you
her.
say that. It's so funny that you say that, because I remember in middle school, I think we were in 8th grade. No, we were in
Mm-hmm.
7th grade. We were in 7th grade. And we were in Mrs. Davis class, choir class. And one of the other girls had started her period and it bled through her pants. And you immediately ran to Mrs. Davis and was like, you need to stop
Oh,
her.
I know exactly who you're talking about, and I
Yeah.
remember that moment vividly. It was her dress. And
Yeah.
on the bottom of her dress, she had like, I think it was like a white stripe type thing or something like that. And she got
Yeah.
up and I saw the stain and I went to Miss Davis. I was like, I don't have the balls to tell her, but you know.
Yeah. But you had like no hesitation.
Well, because again, women should look out for women, right?
Yeah. So
And
even though you were embarrassed about yourself, you were not embarrassed about other women. And
yeah,
that
I wouldn't
was
want someone to let me continue about my day knowing that I have like a stain on me, you know?
yeah. We're way off topic again.
It's okay. I'm looking at my notes right now. So I have here Eliza, and by the way, interrupt me whenever you want, and if you want to go off your notes. I'm just going off of my notes that are kind of in chronological order.
I
That's a
don't
big
have
word for me,
notes.
guys. You
Yeah,
don't
it
have
is.
notes?
I don't have
Cool, I'm
notes.
here. I'm prepared. I'm ready because I was scared.
These are my
Guys.
notes.
Nothing. Eliza,
That's understandable.
Eliza going to Nella for help and not being straightforward. Eliza obviously thinking she's being haunted and tortured by Mr. Amwell's ghost, goes to Nella for help, but she doesn't necessarily tell her right away why she's there.
Mm-hmm.
Which she later learns that she could have just told her and Nella could have made her a simple tincture to help her with the cramping and whatnot.
Yeah, could have saved poor Eliza so much stress.
So much stress and fear. Yeah. Now I'm trying to remember Eliza going back to Nella for help. Was that when Mrs. Clarence showed up? Because Eliza came in unannounced.
Yeah.
And I remembered something about Nella looking at the clock, expecting Mrs. Clarence to come in, and also having that same feeling of something is not gonna go well while reading her letter. same as she did with Eliza. Remember that?
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
I think
Mrs.
with I think
mhm.
with Eliza though, she felt like there was, you can see Izzy in the background. I think with Eliza though, it wasn't so much like a feeling of something was going to go wrong as it was just going to be different.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
whereas with Mrs. Clarence, she was like something is going to go wrong, like something's going to go bad.
It had to do a lot with Mrs. Clarence having money and like
Yeah.
you know, Nella saying that people like her aren't really ones to be trusted because they make like they tend to do things without thinking, or
Which
easy
we saw.
mistakes could. Oh yeah, which let's go ahead and get into. So in the letter, Miss Clarence claims she wanted help to kill her husband because he's been cheating on her, right?
Yep.
And
Go ahead. Go ahead.
and then when Mrs. Clarence shows up in person, she tells Nella, actually, it's not really for my husband, it's to kill his mistress.
Mm-hmm.
Which later we find out is his cousin.
Yeah.
Did I read that right?
Yeah, you read that right.
I was like, wait,
yeah,
hold
Mr.
up.
Clarence was having an affair with his cousin.
Fun.
Yeah.
1700s in London.
Yeah. That. Yep.
Now Nella made a promise to only help women eliminate men, not to harm other women. So Nella was not, a fan of the idea of killing the mistress. So she told her, no, actually, I'm not going to sell you it was like powder, right? Like from the beetles being ground
Yeah.
up, certain type of beetles that could be toxic once ingested and or applied to the skin, I believe, too. So then Nella threw the powder into the fire after Mrs. Clarence went to like grab it. And I love how it described like how the flames kind of went blue greenish. I was like, cool. Just picturing it. Anyways, so Mrs. Clarence got really upset about that and pretty much told her, if you don't make me a new batch by tomorrow, I'm ratting your ass out.
Yep.
And so of course, I don't think Nella was really going for it until Eliza came in and said, you know what, if she rats you out, she rats out that book with the list of names of all the women that you have helped kill whoever they wanted to kill. So not only is she ratting you out, she's ratting all of us out. So what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to Mrs. Amwell, So then that's when Nella gave in. They went to go look for beetles, and this is all overnight. They got 100 beetles to make the powder again the next day, and they ended up sleeping in. Do you remember what it was?
It was like a shed.
A shed, right? And I'm bringing this up because it's important, because it's when Nella admitted to Eliza about Frederick and what he did to her. So let's go ahead and talk about that, because that was like the first jaw dropper for me in this book, where I was like, wait.
Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to catch up with Caroline first so we can show how both these women connect?
Okay, yeah, I mean, because what I did is I did like highlights on Nella and Eliza, and then separately I did, event highlights for Caroline. But we could definitely go back and forth. I'm down. So what about Caroline did you want to mention?
So Caroline's storyline is kind of like Nella's, where something happened in her past that had to do with a man that we don't know anything about. So with Nella, it's about Frederick, which we'll talk about. And then with Caroline, it's her husband. And we know that as readers, we know that she's in London. It was supposed to be their honeymoon, and she ended up going, their 10-year anniversary, and she ended up going alone. We don't know why. We don't know what happened.
Yet.
All we know is that she's rethinking her entire life's decisions since she's been with him. And even her best friend told her like she needed to go get away, she needed to think things over. Now, while she's there, he is trying to contact her, but she's just completely ignoring everybody. Like she just is doing her own thing, trying to figure herself out. Um, so she meets what's his name?
I don't remember his name, but it's the guy that leads the mudlarking group.
Yeah, yep. So she goes mudlarking. And if you don't know what that is, it's okay because I didn't either. It's when actually I did. I just didn't know there was a name for it.
Okay.
So you go into kind of like a swampy area when the tide is out and you dig through the mud for treasures. And so there was this bridge where basically like during Nella's time, the men would propose to women, and if they denied them, they threw the ring over the bridge.
I love
so, yeah, I love it too. Not only did you get rejected, but you just lost all that money.
Yeah, it was brutal. Was it brutal?
Yeah.
No.
So the guy that was in charge of it, he had found lots of rings, he had did like all this other stuff. So he really kind of like encouraged Caroline to go mudlarking. And she finds a bottle with a bear on the side of the bottle. Yeah.
If I may, something that gentleman said to Caroline that I absolutely loved, and that's really important later on in the book. It comes up again. He tells her, you're not just looking for something. You want to look and catch something that's not meant to be there, something out of the ordinary. Do you remember
Yep.
do you know what part I'm talking about?
Yep. So she's trying to look for the mud. She's having no luck. And he's like, you have to just relax. He's like, your brain is wired to find things that are not supposed to be there. He's like, so if you just look at the mud and let yourself relax, your brain will pick out the part of the mud that should not be there or is distorted. And this is exactly what she does.
And then, as you were saying, if you want to continue, she finds
an apothecary bottle with a bear on it. And so she takes the bottle and the tide is coming in, so they're getting ready to leave. And she kind of just doesn't, she wants to know more about it. So she talks to him and he suggests that she go talk to his niece who works at the British Library.
Daughter.
Is it his daughter?
It's his daughter, but she doesn't know it's his daughter until she actually goes to the library, because he just recommends her to go to the library and to meet with someone named Gaynor.
Yeah, I thought it was his niece.
Or Gaynor.
Yeah.
No, it was dad, because I remember that part and I kind of went like, oh, and then, obviously Caroline had that like that sneaky bastard like type of reaction. But yeah, so she goes to the library, she goes to the third floor to, I forgot the name of the spot, something with maps, right?
Yeah, it's like research or something.
And she finds Gaynor and discover that the guy was her dad. And she shows her this apothecary vial that she found and doesn't really tell her too much than what she already knew. There's a bear on it, seems old. That's it.
Yep, there was no writing or anything on it, so it's not like she could, find anything. So Caroline ended up leaving with nothing, no more information.
Just with more.
Go to bed. It's way past your bedtime.
Fuck, what were you saying?
So yeah, she goes back to the hotel and she ends up doing something.
She left with more curiosity is what I wanted to say.
Yeah, she was really curious about this bottle. She would not let it go, so she starts Googling it. And what is it that she finds? She finds Bear Alley, right?
Bear Alley.
Yep, she finds Bear Alley, which was still present in her time. And then she finds something else. She finds like a confession, like a deathbed confession.
Man, I wish I could. I'll try to find it. But she does find a confession saying pretty much mentioning, all those women,
Yeah,
the
mentioning that the
names.
apothecary had helped the women. So there was that, and then so she kind of digs more. She's trying to find it, and she goes back to Gaynor. They find more information, and basically it all leads up to her and Gaynor are researching, trying to figure out more stuff, and they're researching Nella, which is the other point of view that we're reading from.
Because there's three different point of views in this book. There's Nella, Eliza, and there's Caroline.
Yes. And so Eliza and Nella, obviously, they're both in the past, and then Caroline is in the present.
And doesn't Caroline go to the alley to check it out and runs into that gentleman? She gets scared, but he pretty much tells her, like, it's abandoned.
Yeah, it's
she
just
finds
a service entrance. Yeah. But she keeps getting curious and can't let it go, so she ends up breaking in. And
before she even breaks in, we do find out finally what her husband James did to her.
Oh yeah, because she's trying to race against the time because James is coming to London, and so she's trying to figure whatever she can out before he gets there. We find out that he was having an affair with, this is his secretary,
someone he works with, and so
it's always
Caroline,
a coworker.
It's always a coworker, man. Toxic, man. So Caroline,
wait, I just realized.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
What? No, what?
I'll tell you later. Go ahead.
Anyways, Caroline, you guys are gonna see me processing or trying to process what I was just talking about, because I easily lose my train of thought.
We were talking about the secretary.
Oh yeah. So Caroline, she was a little too curious, picked up his phone, looked through it, and she finds that this coworker has sent him a picture of her panties in a drawer at his office, saying something about last Friday night. And at first, of course, James tries to deny it. Oh, there's nothing physical going on. Caroline asks him, like, how did you guys like sleep together, whatever? And he kind of like has that guilty look already. Yeah. So that's what ended up happening between James and Caroline, unfortunately.
Just so you know, our Zoom meeting is going to end in like 9 minutes, so just reuse the same link again.
LOL. Okay. Part 2 coming up, guys.
There'll be a little glitch where we're like here and then whoop, we're over here.
So yeah, we find out what happens with James. Caroline, James does text Caroline, hey, I'm showing up, I'm coming to London, and she's not happy about it, because this wasn't him asking her for permission or even like, hey, do you mind? It was a, hey, I'm showing up. So before he does show up, she wanted to get as far ahead as she could with this investigation that she now has going on. So that's when she's
got notes written down and everything, which does play into later. She writes down some poisons because she knows that she's researching an apothecary.
Yeah, after her little break-in to the apothecary, and she's smart because she went in there and she didn't see much, but then she saw a wall looking a little not normal. It stuck out, and that's the moment where she remembered what the guy told her while mudlarking. Like, you have to look for inconsistencies. And what she did, which she then found the room where she found the book with the names, and she took pictures as much as she could. First of all, whose phone dies that quickly while using their flash?
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about that. Okay, because this Caroline goes in there, her phone's at like 50%?
Yeah.
And she's in there for like 10 fucking minutes and her battery dies.
I'm like Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause she
I was
in
so
the
annoyed.
in the book she kept like, bringing it up like, oh, my phone's at 50, now it's at 30, now it's at 13 or whatever. I told myself I'd leave it when it's got to 3%. It got to 3%, she starts walking out. As soon as she's like steps out, it dies on her. And I'm like,
Yeah,
girl, what? Like,
yeah. My phone
that
takes at least like 45 minutes to die with my
that
flash
tripped me
on.
out. But you
Yeah,
know what? They had to make it a little intense for us, right? Like,
but
fuck, is she gonna get anything?
she could have said her phone was at like 20% or like 35 or something, not 50.
It was just funny. I love how that stuck out to both of us.
Yeah. And how it annoyed
Um,
both of us.
so she takes photos
Mhm.
and she gets back to the hotel. And I think once she gets there, she puts her phone to charge. James shows up, and actually when she goes back to the hotel, she finds a vase of flowers that he had sent to her, and she's just like, yeah, he's really trying everything he can to, sweeten her up or whatever after everything. He shows up, pretty much makes him sit on the couch, right? Or sleep on the couch while she
Yeah.
like laid on the bed and she was charging her phone.
Mhm.
And he was complaining about not feeling well or coughing or something like that.
Yeah.
Something very, very little, they made it a point to make sure that Caroline knew he wasn't feeling good.
Yeah. It was
Um,
like he was trying to say like it was like jet lag or something, and then it kept like getting worse. And then he
mhm.
started coughing, and it's like he's like, well, maybe it's not jet lag. And it was kind of pushy of the fact that he's like, I'm sick.
Yeah. And so then he asked her, do you have any Dayquil? This is actually the day after, right? This is the day after that happened. So they go to sleep,
Yeah.
whatever. Her phone is finally charged, but when she wakes up, James is in the shower and she wants him gone so she could look at her pictures because she doesn't want James to find out or know what she's up to.
Yeah.
And when he comes out of the shower, I think that's when he starts complaining again about feeling sick. And if you want, we could end it here so we know where we stop and then start a new Zoom video.
Okay, that works.
Let's do that. So we're going to talk about James being sick the morning of, after
Okay.
he arrived.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, Ghosties, stay tuned for part 2. All right, Ghosties. So part 2, we left off the next morning after James' arrival. He's not feeling too good, and he asks Caroline if she has any Dayquil. She does not, but what she does have is a little jar of eucalyptus oil.
Yep.
Which is one of the main ingredients in vapor rub. So she told him, there's eucalyptus oil in my makeup bag, you can use that. So there goes James to the bathroom, whatever. He finally takes off, right? He's gonna go on a little adventure that they were supposed to do together, but she's just like, no, I got my own plans, you go for it. And that's when she starts looking at the pictures and that she took when she broke into the apothecary. And she starts writing down her notes. Now, is this also the part where she writes down the ingredients that she found in the pictures?
Yes.
Right? So she starts reading, some of the ingredients that Nella used in her tinctures, her poisons to kill people, because enough of anything could be enough to kill you, is pretty much one of the points that they made in the book.
Yep.
So she made a list, and she went out and about to, where was she gonna go actually? I think James came back really sick and he stayed in the hotel room. Yeah, because she heard a knock.
Mhm.
No, not a knock. I'm sorry. She heard him coming back in. He stays in the room because he's not feeling good. She takes off. Obviously she doesn't want to go too far. She wants to stay around just in case something happens to James.
She goes and gets a coffee with Gaynor.
Yeah, she goes and gets coffee
Because
with
Gaynor
Gaynor.
found some maps that she was looking into of Bear Alley.
Mm-hmm. And so they're going over that, but also very important, Caroline does not mention to her the break-in situation and the information that she found.
Yep.
Not yet, at least. And then she
Or
gets a
that her
call,
husband is there.
or that she's married.
Yeah.
A lot of secrets going on here. And nothing against Gaynor. I think Caroline just thought, you know, that's a lot to kind of tell someone that
A
you barely
stranger that you
know.
just met. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then she gets a call from James back in the hotel. In a whisper, he told her, I need to go to the hospital. So she rushes back, finds him in the bathroom, rolled over the toilet, throwing up blood. So she calls the lobby to call the medics or whatever, and then come up there. They show up there attending to him. Come to find out, this dumbass drank the eucalyptus oil, even though it said toxic on the side of the bottle.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like anybody, like almost everybody should know, like grown adults should know not to drink essential oils. Like,
yeah, don't put it in your mouth. Like, just don't smell it, you know, smell it. Don't do it.
Yeah, smell it, rub it on your skin. Don't ingest it.
Now, should we continue where this is going, or should we go back to Nella and Eliza really quick?
Well, let's just get to the paramedics realized that he ingested the essential oils. And then one of the other paramedics sees Eliza's notebook, which has how much, like how much arsenic to kill a person.
Like natural ingredients that could kill, something like that.
Yeah, like a whole bunch of different things. So he reports it to the police and they take her into custody while he goes to the hospital. So
yeah, they're all in the hospital. She's not necessarily in jail or at the police station. They're in the hospital, but she is being questioned by police.
Yeah. So let's flip it back to Nella and Eliza.
So we left off with Nella and Eliza being in that shed after they went to go find the beetles, the 100 beetles overnight. Which is where Nella confessed to Eliza what happened with her past lover, Frederick. Do you want to tell that story?
So Frederick,
we don't like Frederick, guys.
Yeah, we don't like Frederick.
We don't like him.
He met Nella when she was, what was she, 17?
She was young. I don't remember what age.
She was very young, and he convinced her that they were in love. He was married though. Actually, I think they met because he came to her mother to get a vial or something for his wife.
Well, he said that it was for his sister at first, I believe, because she was having pains. Come to find out,
it was his wife.
His sister. It was his wife. Yeah.
Yeah. So he says that he's like, they're gonna run away together. They're gonna be happy. So they sleep together, and come to find out later that Nella's pregnant. And so Frederick is like, you know, we're gonna be so happy together, all this other stuff. So he takes her out for, what was it, lunch or dinner?
I don't remember.
Basically, like they were celebrating their future together. And so he leaves, and
had to have been dinner, I think.
I think it was dinner.
Yeah.
And Nella starts feeling all these pains in her stomach. And
now, was it Frederick that made the dinner? He for sure brought drinks over for them to drink before he took off.
Yeah, he poisoned her so she would lose the baby.
He used her knowledge of all these ingredients that she had in her apothecary and behind her back, got the ingredients he would need to miscarry her baby.
Yeah. And then he never saw her again. Like, he completely abandoned her.
He booked it. We don't like Frederick. Frederick is an asshole.
And this is all after Nella's mom passed away. Yeah, so she had lost her mother. Then she, against all hope, thought that she was in love, was gonna be happy, and then he does this, and it's kind of downhill from her from then on. She
Mm-hmm.
doesn't trust again. She closes the apothecary shop.
That's where the inspiration came from with her wanting to start, you know, the poisons was
Yep.
because of Frederick.
Yep. So she wanted to help other women leave toxic men.
Do you remember her first customer and who her first victim was?
You want to tell them?
Yeah, it was Frederick's wife who showed up to Nella's shop. And this was, I think, maybe a couple months after she had the miscarriage, if I remember correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But the wife came in, told her, I'm the wife. Nella, furious at finding this out, and of course everything making some sense, made a poison to help her kill Frederick. So bye Frederick, you got what you deserved.
Remember why?
Why what? No, because it wasn't Frederick's first time cheating on her. The wife even told her he has a tendency to fool around.
Oh, that's right. She was just wanting to get rid of him because of him sleeping around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So we find out that they end up going back to the shop. Unless there's something else you want to mention that happened in the shed. I don't really remember anything else.
I don't want to mention anything about the shed. There is really like nothing else, but it kind of explains why Nella took in Eliza. Because Nella was not able to have kids after Frederick poisoned her. She was not allowed to have kids. Like, not allowed, but she physically could not have kids.
I don't think she ever got her period again too, right?
No.
Yeah.
So he took that part of her away from her.
Yeah.
And so she really took to Eliza. She felt like a mother figure to her.
This is also where Nella mentioned something about bleeding monthly.
Yeah.
And
And then
Eliza's
that's
like,
when,
wait, what?
Yeah, that's when Eliza's like, wait. And then they have that conversation, and it kind of bonded them too a little bit more, because Nella kept constantly like push her away, and then kind of like explaining that was just like, this little girl needs me as much as I need her.
Yeah. And even like that realization didn't really hit her that hard until they were on the bridge, which we'll get to in just a moment.
But that's kind of where like the need to protect her came from. Which comes back to the bridge part. So, but that's where that need started.
And guys, there's so many much more like details that we just haven't mentioned, like the whole magic thing with Eliza'S mom. And
okay, wait, so that's one of,
because the book is important. The book that Nella gives Eliza is important because of what happens at the end.
So because of Eliza thought that she was being haunted, she found Nella gave her a book of magic that her mom had given to her. And because she didn't really believe it, she believed in the natural evil and remedies and stuff. So she gave Eliza the book, and kind of you see Eliza's attraction to magic early in the book. So like I have this quote. She says, like magic, I thought it was everywhere if only one knew to look. So Eliza, from the beginning, from when we meet her, is very attracted to magic. She believes in magic, and
even the idea of magic.
Yeah. So you kind of have Nella, who the whole time is just like, magic's not real. It's, it doesn't exist. And Eliza just constantly, magic is real. And so she starts making something. So while Nella is trying to get ready to run, because they were caught, because Mrs. Clarence.
Okay, you're skipping a whole.
I'm skipping.
I'm a whole section. So they get back to the shop. They get the powder ready, the poison ready. It takes both of them overnight, no sleep. Mrs. Clarence shows up, buys the powder. But Nella tells Eliza, just get a whatever vial, put the powder in there, give it to Miss Clarence. Miss Clarence gave her the money, took off. Come to find out, Eliza accidentally gave Miss Clarence a vial, not only with the bear on it, but with the address somewhat still on the bottle. And Mrs. Clarence comes back in a panic because the poison was meant for the mistress. Unfortunately, she's not the one that died and drank the whatever they were drinking. The husband, Mr. Clarence, accidentally drank it and died.
And
so
Mr. Clarence is a duke, so he's a very respected man.
And it brought a lot of attention. His death brought a lot of attention, a lot of unwanted attention. If you're siding with Nella. But so Miss Clarence explains that to Nella. I don't think Eliza was there at that point. I think Nella kicked Eliza out.
Yeah, the night before, like when Mrs. Clarence had bought the poison, she told Eliza to run away and not come back.
So Miss Clarence goes back to the house, retrieves the vial to bring back to Nella. But before we get to that part, I know, before we get to that part, Eliza was told by Nella, like, this book, my mom got it from this bookstore. So Eliza, being more curious, wanting to find out more on magic and how to get rid of the ghost that's apparently haunting her and torturing her, she goes to this bookstore where she meets, I believe his name is Timothy.
I think so, yeah. That sounds right.
Who's only a couple years older than Eliza, so somewhere around 14. He sees Eliza looking at a certain book. He comes up to her, tells her that actually belonged to my mother. My mother used a spell that was in there when I was a baby because I stopped breathing. She used one of the spells and brought me back. And so he
was a miracle.
The book. Yeah, he was a miracle. And so he gave Eliza the book for free, and she was willing to pay, but he was like, you know what, just come back if any of the spells work. And she's like, well, what if they don't work? Well, bring back the book and we'll try another one. Either way, I'll see you. And then that's when she starts explaining that feeling that she's never had before. They were flirting, okay? They were flirting, and she didn't even know him. I think he probably did, but this was new to her. So, and that's important. So remember this bookstore, remember this dude. And then, so now we get to Nella looking for Eliza.
Well, you missed a whole part.
What part am I missing? I'm sorry.
The reason why she's looking for Eliza. So Mrs. Clarence comes back and tells Nella that things went bad. And Nella was like, it doesn't matter. It's not going to connect back to us. And she's like, there's nothing on the bottle that could incriminate us. And she's like,
I mentioned that, the address.
Did you?
I did. And then I said Mrs. Clarence went to go retrieve the bottle.
Oh, but it had already been taken because the servant made an impression of it.
Either way though, she did find the vial and brought it back to Nella, but it was already too late because of the maid.
Yeah. So
the maid who
made the impression, yeah.
The maid, she was the one that put the powder in the drink, so she was aware of something fishy going on. She went to the police, told them the details of this vial. So that's when the police started investigating, and a lot of people started coming forward, like, actually something similar happened with us, and people just started speaking up. But yeah, they bring the vial back, but the word's already out that there's a serial killer on the loose. This is why I do podcast, people, because looking at people is awkward, even though I've known this bitch for over 20 years.
Oh my god, you admitted it.
Shut up. Oh yeah, the newspaper part where Nella goes out and about, and she reads in the newspaper that they're looking for a serial killer. And it was posted on there, the little logo of the bear and the address. Now it didn't have the full address. That's why she hasn't been caught yet. It was just like a word here and there,
It was like a couple letters.
a couple letters and a number.
Yeah.
So then after Nella discovers this new paper, she runs back to the apothecary where she left Eliza sleeping after the long night of looking for these beetles and grinding them up and whatnot. And right?
No, she already kicked her out. She's trying to go find her.
Why did she come back? Oh, she went to go find her. Yeah, you're right. And she caught her reading the book on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, and brings her back. Right? I'm starting to lose the order here.
Yeah, no, she wanted Eliza'S help to do something. I think it was because she was trying to kill herself. Nella was trying to kill herself, and then that's when Eliza was like, let me make this potion that she had read about, this magic potion. So while she's doing that, Nella is trying to like get ready to leave.
Oh yeah.
And then when they're leaving, they like close everything up. Nella makes sure that nobody can see where the shop was. It's like officially done.
And Eliza does make those tinctures, by the way.
Yes, she had finished the tinctures. Mm-hmm. And you had to wait a certain amount of time.
1 hour.
Yeah, 1 hour. Before you could drink them before they would work. So while they're leaving, the constables show up.
The police.
Yeah, the popo.
The popo. So they book it. They run.
Well, yeah, I would run too.
Another thing we haven't mentioned, again, there's so many details we haven't mentioned. Another thing we have not mentioned is Nella's physical condition.
Oh yeah.
That's Nella like a huge part of it.
Nella is sick as fuck. Yeah. She can't barely like walk.
That's why she also gave in to Eliza helping her towards the end. She didn't want her help at all at first. That's why she kicked her out. Like, you know what? I don't have anywhere to put my phone. I'm sorry. That was scary.
That reminded me of Dean.
Why?
That was scary.
Anyways, I just had a flashback memory to him opening the locker with the cat.
That's exactly what I was.
Stupid ass. Anyway, so they're running from the police. Okay. All out of nowhere, Nella finds the strength and energy to start booking it.
And she's trying to separate herself from Eliza so that they'll catch her, not Eliza.
Yeah, but Nella knows exactly where she's going. She's going to the bridge. Because her plan is to jump off the bridge and commit suicide, just end her misery there.
And keep Eliza safe
and out of harm's way. So they're on the bridge. They make it to the bridge. The cops are right there, just feet away. What word did they use? They were something away. They used something else besides feet, and it was interesting to me. But anyways, this whole time that I'm reading this part, I'm anxious. I'm emotional.
Oh yeah.
Fuck, Eliza's just about to watch Nella take her life for something, for a little mistake that Eliza made, a little careless mistake, not paying attention to what was on the vial that she put the powder in for Mrs. Clarence. And Nella turns around. Eliza drinks one of the tinctures that she made because finally it had been an hour.
Yeah, they were running for an hour.
Hiding in a barn. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of details in there, guys. So you guys can still read this book and catch a lot of details we haven't been able to mention.
Yeah, this book is so rich in detail. Like, it really holds your attention from the start.
It's a page turner. Easy page turner.
Yeah.
I remember I came again. I think this happened with the family tree. I was reading it during lunch and I had to come back like a couple minutes later. Like, sorry, guys, I was reading my book. I'm so sorry. So I'm on the bridge. Eliza drinks one of her tinctures. This will protect me. And then the unexpected happened. Eliza was the one who jumped over the bridge into the cold waters, which
This is the bridge that Caroline found the
found
apothecary
that.
bottle, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Nella was shooketh. She was stunned. What the fuck just happened? Did this little girl really just,
take this magic tincture?
What?
This little girl that took this magic tincture and jumped over.
Like she gave her life
Nella.
to save Nella. And I think that was another part of the book where Nella had a moment of realization of how much Eliza really meant to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she wished Eliza was a daughter that, she never was able to have.
Yeah.
So that made it a lot more emotional as well. I'm not gonna lie.
I almost cried.
And so then the cops are like, there's no way this crippled lady who could barely stand on her 2 feet was working with that little girl. Now they know
and
running.
Yeah.
They know Eliza was a suspect because Eliza showed up to Mrs. Clarence's house to just be nosy. She was just being nosy. The cops saw her, knew her face, knew what she looked like.
Yep.
So they knew Eliza was one of the suspects, but they didn't believe that Nella could have been the actual, madman behind the curtain.
Yeah. And as far as they were concerned, they were like, you know what? She killed herself. There's no way she could have survived that. Case closed. They literally were just like on the bridge, case closed, and walked away.
And they were like, you know what? This is enough for the newspapers. Like this is a story good enough for them.
Yeah.
So it worked out for Nella, she was able to get away.
She was heartbroken.
She was heartbroken. Her illness at this point is at its worst, you guys, at its worst.
Yeah.
But she knows that she has to let Mrs. Amwell know what happened to Eliza before she comes back. Mrs. Amwell was also Eliza's mistress, who Eliza worked for, but she took off for a few weeks, which is why Eliza kept showing up to Nella's apothecary shop. She was lonely. She wanted to hang out with her new friend. Anyways, we're not on the podcast.
I love how you just
this is different.
Yeah, I love how you just ignored that.
I do get lonely, and I have this creepy.
Oh my god, no. Stop that right now. Stop.
Anyways, so Nella wanted to let Mrs. Emil know about Eliza. Wrote her a letter, dropped off a package to the house. She barely made it though. Nella is so sick, so she was barely able to make it to the doorstep and drop the package on the floor. And she wanted to make sure that one of the servants saw her doing so. So when she looked at, are you okay?
No, because now all I can see is this doll watching you.
She's not. She's face down. She's chilling. Do you want me to hold Grogu? Would that make you feel better?
No.
I could hold Grogu. He's just chilling too.
I think I need to go watch my man.
Oh. You're scared of a doll, but you're willing to go watch a movie where your man is fucking stabbing people to death. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is going to a public thing, Chelsea. Anyone can see this.
That was the podcast.
This is YouTube, honey. Anyone could be on YouTube.
Anybody can be on a podcast.
Okay, so then you should know that you should watch what you say.
Fans of Skeet will understand. Sorry.
Skeet Ulrich. I haven't even been able to mention Pedro Pascal. I know, I got him in there. She drops off the package. She looks into the window. She sees one of the servants looking at her. But wait, it's not just any servant. Could it be Eliza? Because it sure looked like her. Is she dead? Is she seeing her ghost? What's happening? Here comes little Eliza, alive and well, running to her, telling her that the tincture she made, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. That the tincture she made saved her life because it kept her warm. So when she jumped in the very cold waters, that tincture she drank kept her body warm, right? So that's how she was able to survive. And that's kind of where it ends for Eliza and Nella reunited.
Well, no.
I know there's more. But as far as them,
the chapter ends with Eliza trying to shove the tincture down Nella's throat because she was so convinced that it saved her, it was going to save Nella. So it was like that last
attempt.
belief, that last attempt at magic.
But that's where it ended.
Yep.
And then
they no idea what happened
again. Yeah, they
later.
did get kind of mentioned later on, but in Caroline's point of view, when she's doing further research, which we'll get to obviously, which actually we should get to now, because now we're done with the Nella Eliza chapters.
So now we go back to Caroline, who is in the hospital, basically getting accused of trying to murder her husband.
So just to move things along, she calls Gaynor to help her with these cops who are about to arrest her and take her down to the station. Gaynor shows up, confirms that they are doing a research on this apothecary, this Lost Apothecary. Get it? The Lost Apothecary? Because it's
at least she didn't show it upside down.
Did you like that TikTok I made?
Yeah, I did.
I was like, I wonder if anyone's gonna notice.
I noticed. So, I was like, because I was trying to read it and I was like, oh, it's upside down.
Because it's like reversed already with because of TikTok. Yeah. I'm glad you commented too. I was like, oh, she noticed. So she's, at the hospital. Gaynor confirms that they are doing research on this apothecary. Gaynor finds out that she broke into the apothecary because the cops show her Caroline's notes. And then James wakes up, he's stable, wants to talk to Caroline. So the cop walks her over to his room and he questions why.
At this point, the cops are like, even though Gaynor like confessed that that's what they were doing, they were still ready to arrest her.
They're being assholes.
Yeah.
They're being assholes, but also I could understand from their perspective, from their point of view.
Yes. It was everything that set up was just so sketchy. As a police, I could understand their point of view.
Yeah. And also back to the hotel, this pissed me off. I'm glad I remembered. One of the medics told her, you should keep this away from kids if you have any, the eucalyptus oil, and kind of rubbed it in her face. Well, thanks for reminding me that I don't have children. So I don't know why, but I needed to mention that because it pops back in my head and it pissed me off.
Well, because Caroline thought that she was pregnant and she was talking about how that whole time of her relationship, she wanted a baby. And James kept saying like, no, it's not good for my career. Like I can't focus on a family when I'm trying to become a partner in the firm.
We should get ahead in other parts of our lives before we have a baby.
Yeah. And so she was worried that she was pregnant. And it's like the whole time that she's in London, she's processing of the fact that she might be pregnant. And this whole time she's wanted this, but now that it's actually possible to be happening, she doesn't want it because she's realized that she's given up her entire life for James and his career. So it's kind of like everything is being rubbed in her face at this point.
So then Caroline shows up to the hospital room with the cops right behind her and James goes, what's going on? And she goes, they think that I tried killing you because you fucking drank the eucalyptus oil. Like, what made you drink it? And he's like, I just didn't pay attention. Like, and she said, you didn't pay attention to the science.
He said, well, you said it was kind of like,
Dayquil.
Yeah, kind of like Dayquil. He's like, so I just thought you meant that I could drink it.
Yeah, not apply it to your skin, which is what you're supposed to do.
Which is what she told him to apply it like for his throat.
And the cop did a little dick move and left his business card and was like, if you have anything else to say privately, give me a call. And James rolls his eyes, whatever. Cop's gone. It's just him and Caroline in the room. And all in all, we find out that James drank the eucalyptus oil
on purpose.
Caught you. I fucking caught you. It's okay. I saw it. I was ready. He fucking drank the thing on purpose.
Yeah. And the reason why we find this out is because he's like, oh, well, like now we can go back home, we can start over and all this other stuff. And she's like, no. And
Yeah.
he's like, even on my deathbed.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like,
Huh?
what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he did it on purpose.
I was so mad.
I
I was
was
so mad. Like,
as
what a fucking idiot.
well, not only that, but like I've known people that have tried to do shit like that to get their spouse to stay. And I'm just like, I was so pissed with
Yeah.
Caroline.
Yeah.
Like, I really relate to Caroline a lot. Just a lot of the stuff that she
You
goes
were
through.
so pissed with Caroline, as in like along with her, or pissed at her?
No, along with her. Like when she
Okay.
found out that, yeah, when she found out that he poisoned himself on purpose, she's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you were trying to manipulate me into staying and almost got me arrested for your idiocracy. Blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah.
We get what you're saying. We get what you're saying. We're good.
I'm not an English major or anything. I just can't speak.
See, when I fuck up, it makes sense because there's nothing in here, right? But when you fuck up, it's like, dude, you're educated. Like, get it together. So that all happens, and we come to a realization. Caroline comes to a realization that not only has James held her back from being her
Everything.
own individual self and pursuing her dreams, yes, everything. In a way, Caroline realizes that she allowed it to happen because he kind of throws it back in her face like, well, I wasn't the one that ripped up your application for Cambridge. I wasn't the one that took the job in the barn. You know, he was gaslighting her and being a narcissist, right?
Yep.
But
Straight
Caroline
up.
finally comes to that realization. You know what? We both played our part, but wow, did he really hold me back from living my life, living my dreams, from me doing what I wanted to do, from living. So that was it. That was it. They say their goodbyes after he's out of the hospital, right?
And she's 100% done.
She's 100% done, but she does tell him, you know, you're leaving, but I'm gonna stay for the rest of this trip and continue my adventure here, which I'm glad she did, because that temporary trip turned into something a little bit more permanent.
Yep.
All in all, her and Gaynor became really close friends. They finally opened up. Well, Caroline really opened up to Gaynor about everything that happened and all that. And I absolutely love Gaynor for being straight up with Caroline. Like, no, fuck your husband. You need to do you. You need to pursue your dreams, because you know what? You're capable. You're
she has the drive to research history.
Yeah.
Like, she loves history, and Gaynor sensed that, and she really pushed her to follow that dream. And
Gaynor was really upset with her when she found out that she was gonna attend Cambridge, or apply to attend Cambridge for undergrad, I believe it's called. Well, Caroline, being the smart woman she is, I think next day comes to Gaynor and tells her, hey, surprise, I applied for Cambridge last night. And that made me so happy, and that made me want to cry. And I was like, finally,
and
something good.
She starts telling her everything that she's learned about the Lost Apothecary, and how basically she's going to keep researching, and
it's going to be part of her final
her thesis
project.
Her thesis.
But does that end up happening?
We're about to lose the session again.
Should we do part 3, or should we do the rest on Instagram?
No, part 3.
Part 3? All right, come back for part 3, guys.
So going back to how you were saying before we got cut off again, like, does she actually finish her thesis and her research on who we know as Nella and Eliza? That's kind of where I'm really hoping that there's a book 2, because I think it would be interesting to have Caroline still researching all of this. And we know through Caroline's research that both Eliza and Nella lived very long lives after her death.
And Eliza got married to
Two.
the bookstore dude, Timothy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so cute when I found that out. I was like, ah!
Yeah, I was like,
I
that
love
is
it.
so sweet. Yeah, it was so cute. So I want to, I think because of Eliza's interest in magic and Nella's profession with not so much poisons, but with healing, because her mother taught her healing before she learned poisons. I want to know if Eliza and Nella opened up their own apothecary to help people.
I want to know if well, because I don't want to make Eliza like the bad person here or assume anything, but the husband does die. Poor Timothy is dead when Caroline finds that article of Eliza talking about, her husband's death and her inheriting the bookstore. So I just want to know what happened to the husband. Yep. I want to also, of course, know what happened with Eliza and Nella. Like going off of like what you're saying, like a second book would be great because there's just so much more to discover.
And I feel also like, as annoying as James is, I feel like he wouldn't just give up that easy. Is that what you were gonna say?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was picturing myself punching James in the face.
Oh, okay. I thought you were thinking of punching me in the face. I was like, what?
First of all, fuck James. I hope he doesn't continue to try. I hope he realizes what a dumbass he is. And what a fucking girl he fucking lost. What a woman. Like, dude, good for Caroline. So the reason why we're saying that she's not really gonna be able to go through with that final project, that research project towards the end of her graduating or whatever, is because when she learns about Eliza and learns that Eliza and Ella lived, and that little part of her inheriting that bookstore and whatnot. Also, I would love Caroline to go. I thought they were going to mention it, that Caroline was going to go check out that bookstore to see if it's still there, and maybe if it was passed down, because she had twins. Eliza's her mother. She had twins.
See, and that's another thing too, is I was thinking, like, what if Eliza and Nella taught her kids the apothecary trade and it kept getting passed down and they were still killing men?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know, and I think that would be really cool. Because, like,
I definitely agree.
Would that make Caroline reconsider finishing her thesis if doing that research brought to light the fact that the poisons are still being used?
But that's crazy. I think if Caroline continue to discover stuff like that, because she already reached the point, at the end of the book, the last chapter, Caroline's point of view, she reached a point where, what, I want to keep this secret between me, Eliza, and Ella. I'm not gonna continue to tell Gain or anything. I'm not gonna publish this information. This is such an intimate little thing to keep between us three.
Yeah.
So that being said, Caroline takes that vial that she found with the bear that started it all while mudlarking, and she went back to where she found the vial. And when she got there, she saw a couple of ladies walking towards her. She said they must have found a different entrance to where, the area she was in. So Caroline, this is going to stay between us. This is going to stay sacred. Throws the vial back into the river. But when she turns around to look at the two ladies that were walking towards her,
they're gone.
They're gone. And I just got chills all over my body.
Yeah.
And I was so emotional reading that part. Like, wow, like they really were able to share that. And then it also kind of made it funny, like, wait, so are ghosts real? Is magic real? Because that was just one of the things that was pointed out a lot during the whole book, is like, oh, Mr. Amwell's ghost is haunting me and torturing me. So I love that they kind of brought that towards the end, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And that's how it ended, right? Yeah.
Oh,
what a good book.
Yeah, it was it was really good. Like we've said, like I feel like we've been rambling for a while, but there is so much information on this book. It is unreal, and it's probably still confusing to our listeners because we can tell you as much information as we just did, and you still won't get the whole picture, everything that played a part of like their connection, the feeling of being like supported by women, by supporting other. It's crazy.
It's amazing. You know what? I forget what I said in the beginning of part one. Go get this book, read it. You know what? It's a good book. It's a good story. A few stories in there actually. Different point of views. And I'm not gonna lie, when I finished the book, I felt inspired. I felt motivated to pursue my dreams all of a sudden and to
Yeah.
focus on me a little bit more and go on more adventures and see what I could find, see what inconsistency I could find in the world that could
Yeah.
lead me somewhere, you know? So, and I also started thinking about you a lot with, you know, you and your major and kind of changing direction in your career and like, I don't know. It's an amazing book, guys. Definitely, I
Yeah.
definitely recommend. So good. We had to do a three-parter for this.
Yeah. And this book too, it really inspired me to take a risk and just go for it. And so I did. I quit my job, uh, despite, needing the money to pay bills and stuff. And I'm going for my dream. And
Yeah.
it's very inspirational.
I abandoned my mom at a nursing home so I could finally live my life the way I want.
Dude, your mom would fucking kill you.
I think I told her that once because they did. It's like I don't know if it's a nursing facility or what, right here in the corner. But I was like, you know what, mom, if you keep yelling at me, if you don't get me what I want, I'm gonna leave you right there. Obviously that's never gonna happen. I love my mom, guys. It's a joke. It's a joke.
And her mom would legitimately kill her. Like she would escape and skin her alive.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
I'm glad I locked my door at night.
Yeah, I was like, I'm right. If you didn't think I was right, you would not be looking at your door.
I'm not looking at I'm looking at my freaking my what's it called? No, what's it called? My pocket knife that I have on there that I keep forgetting to put back in my purse. Maybe I shouldn't keep that by the door.
Okay. So let's talk about like our thoughts on the book and stuff. Like we've already said that we think it's a good book, blah blah blah. Okay, so from a woman's perspective, okay, because there's no male perspective in this book. It's all female. And both Caroline and Nella are betrayed by the man that they love. So how do you think showing their similarities really helped connect like the past and present and how like history repeats itself?
I think we learned that men are assholes. And
I mean, some of us already knew that.
There were a lot of similarities between the two. The thing is that Caroline didn't know those similarities. Caroline didn't know about Frederick. Caroline didn't know about Nella, being pregnant and Frederick, poisoning her to lose a baby. But yet somehow they felt so connected, especially at the end.
Yeah.
She was willing to keep that secret. I'm not sure how to answer that though, because, none of that information was shared with Caroline, but yet somehow you knew there was a connection there.
Yeah. And not to mention also like, how does the fact that neither of them knew what the other was going through, like their similarities, how do you think that plays into a woman's instinct?
How do their similarities play into a woman's instinct?
Yeah, because like you have Nella who was betrayed and she lost the baby that she wanted, and so she starts helping other women kill their husbands.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you have Caroline who is was betrayed by the man that she loved and is desperately hoping that she's not pregnant, even though she wanted to be at one point. So you have
Mm-hmm.
like that difference in them. And then instead of killing people, she really like, I feel like Nella went downhill and Caroline really took that and was like, no, screw this. Like, this is my life. I'm going to take control back over it.
Caroline did need that extra little push though. Even though she was doing very good on her own,
Well,
that
and Eliza was to Nella like Gaynard was to Caroline. Like they both
yeah.
needed that push.
Yeah, and you didn't even there's obviously foreshadowing when it comes to watching a movie, reading a book. I didn't expect those type of relationships to develop in the way they did.
Yeah.
For example, like with Eliza, I didn't expect Eliza to mean as much to Nella as she did by the end of the book. I wasn't expecting that. Maybe when Nella mentioned to Eliza everything that happened with her baby and with Frederick, maybe that's when I started foreshadowing that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But also Nella was very, I need to get rid of Eliza. She can't be part of this. She can't get caught in the middle of this. And like Caroline with Gaynor, you know what? I think I did kind of see it coming. Gaynor kind of working where she worked and Caroline being interested in similar areas. I kind of saw that coming. And I really enjoyed when Gaynor kind of told her, like, you should come work at the library and kind of gave that
Yeah.
little, she planted that seed into her mind, which bloomed like crazy towards the end. But I wasn't expecting what a huge impact those side characters were going to make on these main characters.
Yeah.
But I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I feel like it really goes to show that little miracles will come when you least expect them.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that also kind of plays into Eliza's belief that magic is everywhere.
Yeah. I think people think of magic. This is gonna sound stupid, maybe, but I feel like people have stereotyped magic and what magic is.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah, sure, but I've never watched Harry Potter. Is that
But
something
you
I should admit?
no, it's fine.
Damn, don't sound too disappointed, dude. Fuck. Um, I don't know what I was saying, but yeah, like we expect magic to be a certain thing. We expect it to look a certain way when really it's all around us.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um.
And I think that
Oh yeah.
that really shows in the story. Like it really stays with you after.
Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah.
I feel I'm hoping that I could be that. I'm really hoping I could be Gaynor for you. I want to be the Gaynor to your Caroline. I want to be the Eliza to your Nella, or you could be the Eliza to my Nella.
I was gonna say you never mind. Never mind, never mind, never mind.
What? Say it.
So okay, so how different do you think the story would have been if Caroline had stayed in the States with James?
There would have been no story, man. I'm so glad Caroline was convinced by her friend to go on this trip because she would have stayed miserable. She would have never rediscovered herself. She would have never gotten reintroduced to who she was 10 years ago, just, evolved,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if she were to stay in Ohio with James, no, she would have never have gone through the wonderful journey that she went through. And I know I think I mentioned this when we first read the family tree during our Zoom call or whatever, this recording. But it's the journey that matters, you know. It's because Caroline went on this journey, and at the end of this journey, all the information she learned on this journey, she decided to keep it to herself between them three, right? Because that's how important the journey itself was. That's how much she learned about herself during that journey. So what I'm trying to say is that it brings me back to the book The Alchemist, because in The Alchemist, the main character goes on this journey only to rediscover himself and to realize what he was searching for has been right underneath his nose the entire time. You know, so everyone should go through their journey. And it's scary. Like you said, you take a risk. It's a risk sometimes, and you might not be happy right away. You got to settle into things, and that's life. Life's not meant to be easy. Where you think how far are we going to get in life if there's no challenges?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If there's no roadblocks, like how are we going to discover other things if there's no roadblocks and detours to take us in a different direction? You know, we would never, like, I don't know. The journey is so important. The journey.
So if you think the journey is important, when you were on this journey with Caroline, did you think about any times in your life where you wonder, like, what would have happened if I had taken a different path or made like a different decision?
Yeah. It actually popped into my head as you were talking about it, and I was gonna share the piece of advice that my mom gave me to, you know, you guys listening or watching. When I was, how old was I? 19. I wanted to go to a trade school. I wanted to do some kind of college because this 4-year college, community college, just wasn't working out for me. I was interested in pharmacy. I found it so fascinating how one little pill could do so much for you in your body and could save you and keep you alive. So I wanted to keep learning about that. I was into biology, I was into math, but I was scared that I was going to fail or that I wasn't going to continue to pursue that career after I was done with school. And here are my parents helping me out with the loan and stuff like that. And my mom told me, you know what? You're not going to get anywhere if you let fear keep you, hold you back. And that stuck with me till this day because I do suffer from social anxiety, period. I've allowed fear to hold me back from a lot of things. And I'm realizing this year, like, God, I could have done so many great things in my 20s if I had not let fear hold me back. But going back to that school, I said, you know what, you're right, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And I went for it and I finished school. I graduated like a month early just because there was some shit going on with the school. I was able to find a job right away, and that's it. Hey Chelsea, just remember you have a dog.
It's the fact that you knew it was the dog.
She's frozen. She was too stunned to speak.
It's the fact that you knew it was the dog.
Of course. Who else is it gonna be? The fucking ghost?
I mean, maybe.
Ooh, that slammed hard.
When I jumped, the dog jumped.
That's like, what, bitch? What are you scared of? But yeah, so that's my journey. That's one of the journeys I've taken in my life that I wasn't sure about, but I'm glad I did, because here I am 7 years later at the same job, but I've met amazing people, and I'm currently on a different journey
all the time.
First of all,
I do
be talking shit about them all the time, and you know what? I talk shit to their faces too, so they should know.
Okay. I have one more question, unless you have
Yes.
anything else to add.
Actually, well, and I would like to know your answer to that question.
What was the
If
question?
if
I'm
Jesus
just kidding.
Christ.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
What journey did
I was
this
just
book
kidding.
fucking anyways?
No, actually,
No, I shouldn't do that.
we read this book right before I quit my job. And it really, because I was really nervous. I had to quit my job because my babysitter had surgery and we couldn't find anybody else to watch my kids while my husband and I were working because we work so early in the morning. Um, so there's no daycare open at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, you know what? I think it's time that I stop worrying about everything, quit my job, and start doing what I wanted to do, which is freelance edit and write. And it's been really hard, but it's been really fun.
Mhm.
And
Rewarding in other ways.
yeah, and I'm learning a lot. I've gotten a lot of opportunities that I'm really excited about and I've been working towards. So it's not what I expected. But it's definitely, as much as I stressed a little bit still because I'm still trying to get like used to it. I'm not letting that stop me. So it's a lot of work and it's stressful and it's rewarding. And I know it's gonna just keep like stacking up those rewards. So I'm pushing myself and I've
Gotta
gotta,
start somewhere, right?
yeah, you gotta start somewhere. And I've got a great team of people who are like, get your shit together. Yeah. You, my mom, my grandma, even my husband is like, he
Don't call
constantly,
her grandma. That is so weird.
yeah, okay, so it's weird to you, it's not weird to society.
I know. Well, it's weird to me, bro.
So my grandma, I don't call my grandma, I call her my nana.
Our Nana.
She was mine first.
Yeah, she's gonna be mine last.
Are
I don't
you
know what that means,
yeah,
but
I was like, are you expecting me to die?
I mean, eucalyptus oil could do like crazy things.
As many oils as I have in this house, the police are gonna know I know not to drink that.
It's okay. I work in a pharmacy and I know of other ways.
And that's a truly terrifying thought.
Teehee. I'll tell you after this call how to actually, unless you want me to tell you now.
Let's not incriminate
No,
ourselves, okay? I do enough
no,
of
you
that
know
on my
what?
own. I don't need to
You're
add
right.
you to that.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know how to poison people. I know how to get rid of bodies. We're a lethal combination. Okay.
Okay, to the FBI listening to this, can we at least share a cell? Like, can you just put us together? Okay, so on to your next question, please.
Okay, so there's a lot of, like, one of the big themes in this novel is women empowerment and rebelling against a man's world. How do you think how did this book like empower you as far as like the feminist idea goes?
Honestly, I don't think I needed this book to feel that you know, power as a woman, just because of where I am in my life right now and how I grew up. Yeah, my dad was the bread winner, or bread, what is it? Bread maker?
Bread maker?
Yeah, that one. That one. But also, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she I don't know if it's her OCD or what, but she cleaned, she cooked, she washed the clothes, she made sure we were okay. She attended to us when we were sick, better than any nurse can take care of you in a hospital. And I got inspiration from that. I got inspiration from my dad, and I got inspiration from my mom. And I don't know if it's because I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend growing up or what, but I never depended on a male. I never depended on a boyfriend. I never depended on anything like that. It was always me and my parents. But now that I'm kind of more becoming on my own, I'm not scared that I'm not going to have a man there by my side as a safety net or to bring income, you know, like, and I'm proud of myself for that. Like I have a decent career, you know. I'm still very much motivated. I want to go back to school next year, and I want to pursue my dreams, and I want to do my thing. And I have a lot of, like you said, I have a really good support group and a support system around me. I wish you were part of it, but you know,
I am a part of it, bitch.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I'm good. I'm chilling. I didn't take something from this book that I didn't already like have with me, you know, as far as lessons
It
and
just like
desires
brought
and
it more
dreams.
to your attention.
Yeah, it just kind of brought it more to my attention, and maybe forced me to kind of think about it a little bit more and focus on that. So yeah, I feel very empowered and motivated to go to school and pursue my dreams, and not need to ask anyone for permission, you know, or hold me back. And I'm gonna set my foot down. I think that's important when you're in a relationship. You still need to be your own individual self while tending to that relationship. And I feel like a lot of people forget that and give in to, no, I need to focus on my relationship. My relationship is my priority. No.
Kind of like Caroline did.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She prioritized James, and what did she lose?
Herself.
You know? So
how do you think the idea of women empowerment and feminism in this book is relatable to what's going on right now?
Damn, dude, you're fucking asking some hard-hitting questions. I'm like, my nose is sweaty. I'm nervous. I just to what's going on today. Fuck, what isn't going on today? The world is so fucked up.
Yeah.
I think, you know, a lot of women are coming to the realization that, you know, women supporting women is the best way to go with many things, because who knows us better than one another?
Yeah.
A man, now I kind of, okay, like, a man shouldn't be able to tell, you know where I'm going now with this, you know, I think I know where you were trying to go with it now. I made my circle. I came back to it.
Your thought process went through.
Yeah, men shouldn't be allowed to make decisions or tell us women what we can and cannot do with their bodies, especially when they have not one fucking clue what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we're pissed and sticking together, and
yeah. And we're fighting together, and we're talking about it, and we're speaking up. Like at work, we're talking about it. We don't care who's around. We're talking about it. We're not going to stay quiet. We're not going to whisper about it. We have a voice. We fought to have a voice. So let's fucking use that voice.
Yeah, we're still fighting.
We're still fighting for that voice. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is that we're badass bitches that we're not going to allow someone to shut us up.
Yeah.
You know? So what about you? I want you to answer that question yourself, how you feel like it all kind of relates to what's going on today in this world. Because I'm bad at answering these questions, and I'm sure I'll come up with a better answer later once I process it a little bit more. But please tell me like your thought on it.
Oh, I think that you're exactly right. Like even in the 1700s during Nella's time, you know, it was even more so controlled by men. Like you had these women who were being abused by their husbands, and so they went to desperate measurements to ensure their own safety by killing them. And while I mean it was illegal then, but it's even more so now because of the technology that we have, you still have you still have women trying to fight for their own protection.
Mhm.
And so I think you kind of see more of that with Caroline, on how even though we've moved on to better times than in the 1700s, we're still dealing with men trying to manipulate us into what they want us to be.
I love
And
that.
and so we're pissed.
Pissed.
Yeah, we're pissed.
Thank you for bringing that up, Chelsea. That's a very important topic to bring up, and it's very much related to, you know, what we just read and talked about. So thank you for that. Honestly, like, jokes aside,
And
I know I'm a silly goose, but thank you for that.
and that's why I feel like, because every time we tried to do this conversation, something always happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so we couldn't talk about this book. And I feel like there was a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it was because of everything that's going on right now that we needed to stop and like see the bigger picture.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Like, I want to give you a standing ovation for that. That was amazing.
Thank you. Sometimes I'm smart.
Sometimes.
Hey, I
More
have a
like,
question for you before we like finish up.
is it gonna be a hard one?
I don't know. It depends.
Oh.
Okay, so before we finish, so I was reading this thing, and as a drug dealer, I have to ask you, is it
Legal
true?
drug dealer,
Yeah, a
legal
legal drug dealer. Is it true that like anti-anxiety and depression medication doesn't work when a woman is on her period? Like, it cancels it out because of all the hormones?
What? That's the first I'm hearing that. Well, here's
Yeah,
the thing with anti-anxiety meds and depression meds. I
they're
myself
tested
have
on men.
no wonder they don't work, because I was about to say, like, the reason why I don't take anti-anxiety meds or depression medication, which I really needed the past 2 years, is because I feel like they make you worse, and then you have the risk of addiction and this and that. But I've never heard about that. I'm actually going to ask one of my pharmacists about that, and I'll get back to you on that, because that's actually pretty interesting. I think it should work, though. I mean, with some Tylenol for the cramps, I don't think anxiety meds, I don't think Xanax is going to take your cramps away. But even not being on your period, it's going to mess with your mood. It has a side effect that it's going to make you
not
worse.
only that, but like, it was like specifically saying that the chemicals that those pills target, that's targeting like you normally. They don't consider the rise in hormones during that time, so it cancels each other out, which is why you're so emotional, because you have so many hormones going through. But
I'm not surprised.
I've been seeing more and more women talk about that, and I was just really curious.
I will look into that, and we will have another conversation, and I don't mind talking about it over Zoom and stuff, so everyone else could hear that conversation. I will definitely ask. But if you guys are considering starting anxiety pills, just know that the side effects for anxiety pills is depression. And even sometimes depression medication could lead to anxiety, which then you'll have to start anxiety pills, and it's just like this whole domino effect, right?
Yep.
Just be careful what you're taking, ask questions, look up the side effects. Be honest with your doctor. Be honest with your doctor. Ask me questions. DM me. I don't care. If I don't know the answer, I will be more than happy to ask my pharmacist and my boss. Like, you know, just be careful.
They're gonna start wondering why you're asking him all these random questions. Be like, oh,
about
my
Xanax and shit.
My homies need me on the internet.
But yeah, see, that's the thing. They know I do this podcast, and they know that we do this book talk. Like, you know what I mean? So we're gonna have a totally different podcast just on medical topics, which I'm so down for. But yeah, I'll get back to you on that. Interesting.
Okay. Do you have anything to add before we end this really long video?
The third part. No, I'm very satisfied and happy with our talk over this book. I can't wait to continue talking about it with you after.
Yeah.
Should we introduce our next book really quick though, before we end?
Yeah, but hurry up because we've got like 3 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Ugh, hold on. Okay. So we have our next book after this one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Here you go. It is written by Holly Jackson. This is our next book to read for book talk, so stay tuned. We'll let you guys know when that's going to be happening, hopefully sooner than later. I know this one took a minute. I do apologize for that. But yeah, this is our next book, and if you're interested, I just hit my face. I hope no one noticed, but you know what? I said it out loud, so
so everyone's gonna notice.
So everyone's gonna notice. The Lost Apothecary, guys. I highly recommend. Go read it.
Yeah,
I'm
for
good.
sure.
All right, I'm Veronica Ghosties.
Right. I'm Chelsea.
You guys have a
See
spooky
you
weekend.
the fuck later.
Or week. Yeah, whatever. I don't know what's happening.
I don't either. Let's just go.
Bye.